Hello everyone and welcome back to another Iris tutorial video. This is Alex with a new video for you, and in this session we're going to talk about how to insert blocks into an Iris drawing. In the last video we covered how to put project information into an Iris drawing and went into a rather in-depth view of showing you how everything from the drawing name itself all the way down through all of the project information gets relayed out into our new Shepherd template. At the same time, I also showed you the new Shepherd template, which has a few nice little features that our last one was really lacking in. At the same time, excuse me, I showed you how to go in and how to fix the title block issue, and this is not something that is specific to Iris. This is actually an AutoCAD issue of sometimes with your headers up here not being able to read what's down on the paper space tab for the name. So with that said, let's go ahead and get into Iris again. I'm going to show you how to put some projects together. So first things first, we're going to type in Iris just to make sure that Iris is loaded. And we're good to go, and we will type in IHK to bring up our Iris hotkeys. Last one that we covered was Iris Custom Info, which gave us all of our project information. For this one, we're going to talk about Iris Insert. To launch Iris Insert, you can either double click on it to launch it, highlight and hit OK, or once you get comfortable with it, you can just type IIN down into the command line down here at the bottom. For the sake of the demonstration, I'm just going to go ahead and double click it. And you'll notice down here at the bottom you'll get a little replication of a spinny wheel, and what it does is it brings up a new window here that says Iris Insert. Within Iris Insert there's a couple ways for you to bring in a new part. So if you're an exhibitware user, you're going to be used to going through a folder tree and finding your parts, and we have something similar to that. We're going to try to find a way to make it a little more user-friendly, but you would click File Browser right here, and this will bring up another little window here that you can go in and grab your parts from. So we'll just go ahead and grab a Maxima upright through the folder, do an M1020 upright, 2440. And just so you know, the way I work is I work with a grid snap, and once you bring a once you bring a block in and place it where you want it, it's going to ask you for a specific rotation angle, which I'm just going to go ahead and save as 0. And this next part you're really going to like, especially if you're an exhibitware user. Once you bring in this part, and it doesn't work for all parts, but it works for most parts, it automatically sets it to a layer that's been specified within the Iris documentation and coding. This throws it immediately onto Model Metal Upright, which is really nice. Now I'll run through this again and show you how to do another Iris Insert command, and I'm just going to type in IIN, and it'll take us back to the same window as before. So say you're a seasoned designer and you know a lot of these parts already, you know exactly what you want, or even partially what you want. Instead of going through the file browser and looking for what you want through all the file trees, you can actually type in here under WC block name M1020 and then an asterisk after it for a wildcard, and if you hit tab it'll populate everything over here that is a block that has that information in it, which is really nice. For the sake of this, we're going to go with something, we're just going to create a meter wide panel, so we'll grab a 910, which is our meter equivalent, and we'll double click that, bring it in, and let me turn my grid space back on, set my angle at 0, and right then there you can see that it automatically throws it under Model Metal Crosspiece. Once you have your cross pieces and your uprights in place and you know that you don't want to change them, you can go in and copy them like you would normally with any other project. And that completes our frame right there for the panel that we want to create. with the frame ready to go, we're going to go ahead and insert a panel into this. And using the cheat sheets that we have that tell you the sizes of the panels and gives you the alphanumeric conversion for it, we're going to insert a Maxima, get my caps lock on, a Maxima E panel, and I'll just throw in a asterisk for the wildcard after it. I should mention that the wildcard allows you to be able to search anything that has any text after this. And we'll hit tab and it will bring up all of the panels that we are searching for this. So as you can see over here in the block names, everything that has ME with anything after it is being dictated by this block name definition over here. So the one that we're going to be looking for is 2292, and that'll give us the height for what we need. And I'm just going to nudge this up here a little bit. You can do this either by moving it with snap commands. Personally, I like to go into the properties and change the Z position up to 80. For Maxima, it would be 70 if we were working with standard Octanorm. And there we are. We're all set to go for the panel. So this next part, I'm actually going to take some of these parts here and clone them over, or I'm sorry, not clone them over, copy them over, and we're just going to create a quick wall out of this. Just to make sure that I don't mess with anything with the carpet, I'm going to go in and lock the carpet and lock the grid. And that should give us enough to work on there for the panel. Continuing along with this project, I'm actually going to take these two panels here in the middle and make them art panels. Now you can do this one of two ways. You can go into the attributes over here in the properties flyout and switch your art panel to S or D if you want it to be double-sided. And in the note other, it's always important to make sure that that it says art. Another thing down here is where it has R and S for rented or sold. Any art panel that's printed on is something that we can't resell, so we're going to switch that to S as well. The labor code will still remain in L1 since we're still making it a regular panel. Now, as I mentioned before, with some of these panels, or excuse me, some of these parts that we bring in that automatically go to a certain layer, if you change something in the attributes down here, it won't change these up in the layers. So we will have to bring down the layer pull down, and we'll switch these panels over to model panel graphic. And now that we have that set up, we are ready to continue on. Now that we have our panels and mainly most of our structure in here, I'm going to go ahead and put in a little bit of additional support here just to make sure that this doesn't fall over. And this will give me an opportunity to show you another way to be able to search something and actually customize a search within IIN. For this part, we're going to type IIN, and I want to show you over here in the left pane where it says saved configurations. Now what you can do is, if you're tired of going in and typing in M1020 asterisk all the time, or if you have certain parts that you know that you use a lot and want to be able to click on pretty quickly, you can go in and you can save a block name definition down here, a WC block name definition down here, and then save it, give it a name, and it'll populate over here into save configurations. So for an example, I'm going to go ahead and create some more structure for this wall based on the M1020 Maxima, and this is a configuration that I've saved over here. I'll show you how to create one of those here in a second. And while I'm at it, I would like to show you something else that's kind of cool. In our last system, Exhibitware, we were only able to bring in one part at a time, which worked okay unless you knew exactly what you wanted to build if you'd built it a couple times before. In Iris, you can bring in multiple pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and select an M1020 1020 right here because I know I want that. I'm going to scroll down here to a 450, or excuse me, a 415. Hold down Control and click this, and it'll bring both of these pieces in. The very first piece that you select is the first one that's going to come in, and as soon as you hit Enter, it'll drop this right in on the grid, and it'll place the other part right next to it. And I'm gonna just grab this guy real fast and move him where I want him and rotate him. There we are. To close this up, I'll just copy him. Bring him up there. And that gives us our foot. And just to finish this up, I'm gonna go ahead and grab these parts here, mirror it over, select them, and copy them on the other side. And there we go. We have our wall all set up and ready to go. So now that we have the wall set up and ready to go, I want to go ahead and show you something here with the carpet and the grid, which is also kind of nice. And I'm going to unlock them just for this, and we're going to go into the top view, rotate this over, and show you exactly what I mean with some of this cool stuff that you can do with it. So with the carpet itself, what we were doing before in exhibitware was basically drawing out a size of a carpet and then either making a grid to go into it or selecting one that was already pre-made. With this, you can just pick a point and grab it and drag it, and it automatically updates the grid as it needs to be in 1 foot increments. Another way to do it is that if you know exactly the size that you need it to be, you can do a metric conversion and drop it in over here. So say for example we wanted to make this a 10 by 20, your 20 foot conversion would be 6096, and your depth would be 10 feet, which would be 3048. So now that we have that set up, I'm going to go ahead and lock the carpet back up and lock the grid up, and we can position this a little bit better. And I'm going to create another piece of structure in here for a counter, and should be able to wrap up this video pretty quickly. Since we have the carpet elongated a little bit and this is a little off center, I'm just going to do a quick move and just drop the structure right there. Now that we're set up for that, I'm going to go ahead and start creating a countertop for this, and I'm going to take a moment here and show you the save configuration again. And if you watch down here at the WC block name entry, as I click on different areas, it'll update depending on what it needs to see. Now, as I mentioned before with the wildcard, for example, if I've got an M1020 and I put a wildcard behind it, it's going to look for anything that says M1020, and then anything after that will show up. But if you have something like a countertop, you can modify it a little bit here to where you can throw a wildcard in front of it and then type in a CT and a wildcard behind it, and then it'll look for anything that has a CT in it altogether. Now, it may bring in a few parts that has CT somewhere in the definition, and you'll be able to notice that once you go through the list here and notice that it doesn't really follow the naming nomenclature for a countertop, but that's just another quick way that you can bring parts in. Since we're going to be doing a counter up front, I'm actually going to build the structure first, so I'll click M1012 Maxima, and I'm going to take the wild card out for this, and we're just going to say I want this to be 1020 tall. Once you hit tab, it'll automatically bring up the exact part that has that name. And turn my grid space back on. bring in a 415. And if you can tell, I'm kind of going through this a little bit quicker just to show how quick you can be with this if you need to be. And there is our structure for our counter. Now for this next part, I'm actually going to go ahead and just close up the panels here on the 3 sides. I'm going to keep the back open, but just to keep the video a little bit shorter, I'm just going to go ahead and do this in the background. So now that I have these panels in, I did want to show you another way of being able to change the attributes of this of any of these panels or any of these other blocks that we're bringing in. If you're working on a laptop, or if you have limited real estate space, if you have a small monitor, you can actually type in IAT, and what this will do is it'll allow you to select a component. It'll tell you down here at the bottom to select one, and it'll bring up all of the information that that is usually shown here down in the properties. So just for example, we're going to switch this to S. Say it's an art panel, switch this to sold, and hit OK. And if I highlight this this piece here, if I look down over here in the attributes, all the changes that we made to the art panel, the notes, and the sold status has carried over. And just to make sure that it gets recognized as a graphic panel in the layering system, I'm going to go ahead and switch it over to a graphic panel. Now just as a quick heads up, I know you've probably been seeing that I've been going down here and clicking on and off my snap mode a lot. The reason for that is that the F9 button, which usually toggles this on and off on my keyboard, is also the same keyboard shortcut that toggles on the video capture software that I'm working on. So if you're wondering if I'm going back and forth and clicking this so much, it's because anytime that I click F9 on my keyboard, it activates the video, but it also disables or enables my grid snap. And lastly, we're going to go in and bring in some countertops. So again, IIN, and I don't have countertops over here in my saved configurations. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rely on my cheat sheet here to bring up anything for a Maxima countertop. And the Maxima countertop that I'm looking for is going to be Maxima, so it'll start with an M. It's going to be a rectangle, or excuse me, it's going to be a rectangular shape, so it'll be an O2 for the shape. We want it to be 1 meter wide and 1/2 meter deep, so we'll do a CE, and then we'll throw in an asterisk and hit tab, and it'll populate all of these different countertops that we want here. So firstly, I'm going to throw in something here up top, and this will give you a good idea as to what the slide maker is actually doing. You can see how everything that we're looking at as a part is very consistent and very easy to read. However, because we have so many of these countertops, I mean, we can scroll down for just the overlay countertops. You can see that we have 24 of them. And the reason why we have these named this way is because anytime we create a new countertop, it just does it sequentially. This number here doesn't really specify anything for a code as to whether or not it needs to be a full countertop, a half countertop, a notched countertop, or anything like that. So what I'm going to do, just as a quick little test for you guys, or not a test, but a demonstration for you guys, is I'm going to show you how you can bring multiple countertops in, which is something you can't do in Exhibitware, in order to find the one that you want to use. So I'm just going to bring these all in, select my point, hit OK, and it'll populate all of these countertops. Now that we have all these countertops in here, we can start picking the ones that we know that we don't want. And if you need to, you can take them and space them out a little bit. And this is the one that we want right here. So I'm going to select all the other ones I don't want, get rid of them, bring this guy over, and drop him into place. And we'll just raise him up. There we are. Now that I have that, I'm going to bring in one more countertop, and we're going to kind of use this as a shelf. So I'm going to type in again, MO2CE, and it'll bring up all of these countertops here. And something I should probably mention, if you're a new designer, if you see anything that has a dash before the name instead of, or excuse me, a dash before the number here, instead of just being numbers and letters all the way across, anything with a dash indicates that it's an inset countertop. Anything that is numbers and letters all the way across indicates that it's an overlay countertop. So, say we have all of these different countertops in here and we want to look at just just inset countertops. We can go back in here to this WC block name and just throw in a dash after the two letters here, hit tab again, and it'll go ahead and filter this down even further. So since I'm not really sure which one I want, I'm just going to go ahead and grab all of them. Bring them over here, and now we've got all these countertops to look at again. Since I have a pretty good idea of which countertop I want to use, it's probably going to be this guy right here. I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of all these other ones. Grab him and move him over. And I'm going to have to finagle this a little bit. And we'll just shift him up to, I would say, about halfway, 455. There we are. Now, something that I do want to mention to you real fast about these countertops is that because of the way these have been created over the years in exhibitware, they really didn't have a set standard for the catalog number. And because because Iris does its pricing based off of catalog numbers for the countertops, we actually need to go in and change these. So I'm going to show you how to do it just within the drawing itself. I'll do another tutorial later on down the road that shows you how to do it within the block and make it a permanent fixture. But all we're going to do is we're just going to change this MO2CE00 to just MO2CC. Or, I'm sorry, CE. And all I'm doing there is going through and taking the first letter, the first two numbers after that, and then the next two letters after that, and putting that in the catalog. And that'll give us something that Iris can read in its pricing materials and be able to generate a price on. So I'll show you again real fast how to do that here on this inset countertop. We have an MO2CE 1CT, and over here we're really close, but we're just going to knock off this 1 and leave it like that. So the reason why we have it set up this way is because it'll be able to go through and generate a price based on the basic size of what the countertop is. This will allow us to have a much simpler pricing guide down the road. It might take a little bit of work up front, and we might be dealing with this for a little while. I'm going to go in and try to change as many of these as I can so you guys don't have to. But it's just something to keep in mind when you're doing this, just in case you're looking at your pricing and you notice the countertop doesn't have a price associated with it. So now that we've got our countertops in here, the very last thing we're going to do is we're going to add in some accessories here, basically some shelf clips to hold this counter in place. Now with exhibitware, there was a feature that allowed you to take any of these accessories and put them down here in this metal accessories tab. Iris does not have that. That's something that we're working on right now. The developer was really busy working on the pricing that we didn't get a chance to add that in there. So hopefully by the time you see this, we'll have something added in for that. So in the meantime, we're going to actually be putting in accessories that we have. So again, we'll do an IIN, and I'm going to go to the file browser for this one, because I don't want it to make it look like you have to know absolutely everything, every single part number in order to make this work. And we're just going to go to accessories. We're going to go to Octanorm, and this very first one here is E203, and this is going to be the clip that we put in. And if I drop this in there, it automatically brings it up as a model accessory. So I'll just grab this, bring it down here, mirror it over, and now we have all of our clips in place. So this is actually a complete counter now. Now that we've got this all done, I'm actually going to change the view on this here real fast over to, we'll do realistic, so you can get a look at the structure itself, make sure everything looks pretty good on it, everything looks pretty nice. So we'll go ahead and switch this back over to 2D wireframe. And I think right here is a good place to stop for the video, since we've gone in through the insert command quite a bit, and we were able to cover all of our different types of parts between the metal, our panels, our art panels, our accessories, the clips that we put in here, and our other items for the countertops and the shelf. And as I say in all my videos, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to contact me either by email or by phone. And again, if there's something that you come across and you're not really sure how to deal with it or have a hard time explaining it, feel free to shoot me over your TeamViewer information. I can always go in and take a look at it and see what the problem is in real time on your machine. And if it's something that we can't figure out between me and you, we can always call up the developer or send the developer an email and see if we can't get a solution figured out. With that said, thank you very much guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.